Hello everyone, this is Mr. Appel, and we're going to graph a sideways parabola. So let's start with the vertex. So remember with sideways parabolas, the x's and y's switch places, the h's and k's, so then the h and k also switches places, right? Because that's the x and the y value of the vertex. So you'll notice k is still sort of attached to the y, because that's usually the y value of the vertex. And so the h is the x value of the vertex. And so basically, again, they're just sort of switching places. So the vertex is at -1 is the x value, because that's h, and then k is -3, because that's a y plus 3. So the whole being opposite thing now applies to the y instead of the x. So your vertex is at -1, -3, which is right over there. The axis of symmetry goes through the vertex, but remember this is a sideways parabola. So now instead of a vertical, it's a horizontal line. And so the horizontal line is this line here. Again, the imaginary line of symmetry. And the equation of that line, of course, is y equals -3. And that comes right from the y value of the vertex. Okay. Next is determine which direction this thing's going to open. So the a value is what tells you that. So the a value being positive, right? Since a is greater than 0, it's positive. It's going to open to the right. So it's going to do something like this. Oops, I missed the vertex, but it's going to do something like that. We're going to do a little better, but you always want to picture which direction it's going, because that's going to help with this next part. So the next part is determine the focus. Must focus. So in order to calculate the focus, we need to know how far the focus is from the vertex. And that's P. And we saw that in the last little playlist. The idea that A is equal to 1 over 4P is still true. A in this case is 2, so 2 is 1 over 4P. If we multiply both sides by the 4p, we get 8p equals 1, and so p is equal to 1/8. And so that's the distance that the focus is from the vertex. And so I'm going to change colors here just so it's a little easier to see. So the focus is going to be to the right of the vertex, so it's going to be right around there somewhere. To be more specific, if the vertex is at -1, -3, the focus is just to the right of that. So instead of -1, it's an eighth to the right. So what's an eighth to the right of -1? Well, that's -7/8. And so -7/8, -3, that's the coordinates of the focus. Okay. Next up is the directrix. Well, let's get rid of that color. Let's change to, I don't know, let's try this one. Lots of colors here. So the directrix, remember that's the line. It's kind of the line that all the points on the parabola are equidistant from the line and the focus. So that directrix is going to be a vertical line on the other side of the vertex. Remember that P is the distance that the vertex is from the focus and also from the directrix. So if the focus is 1/8 to the right of the vertex, the directrix is 1/8 to the left. So to the left of -1 is going to be -1 and 1/8. And so that's the line x equals -1 and 1/8. So that is the directrix. And so that's enough to sketch a graph. We're not going to find any other critical points here. Again, we're just trying to get the general gist of the graph and find that information. So our graph is going to look something like that. So I'm looking for that it's pointed in the right direction, that you have the focus, that you have the directrix, that you have that axis of symmetry, that it opens in the correct direction. So those are all the things we'll be looking for when you graph a sideways parabola. that's all for now. Thanks.